For 400 years, the cries of a nation rose from the chains of Egypt. Generations born in bondage, praying for deliverance, waiting for a promise. And from the reeds of the Nile, a child was drawn, destined to set them free. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, taught the wisdom of Egypt, clothed in its glory. But within him burned the fire of another kingdom. When he turned from the throne, the wilderness became his refuge and his refining. There, in the flames of a bush that would not burn, heaven spoke, "I have heard the cries of my people, now go." Armed with faith and a shepherd's staff, he stood before the gods of Egypt and declared the word of the Almighty. The Nile turned to blood. Darkness covered the land. Judgment fell like thunder. And when the night broke, the chains of 4 centuries shattered. Through parted waters, a nation walked free. But freedom was only the beginning, for the mountains still waited. There, in fire and cloud, the voice of God would speak again, and the law that shaped the world would be written by his hand. This is the story of faith against fear, of slavery broken by promise, of a deliverer chosen by God himself.
In the land of Egypt, where Pharaoh's power stretched like a shadow over the earth, the cries of Israel rose from the mud pits of slavery. Their sons were taken, their hands bound, their backs scarred by the whips of masters who feared their growing strength. Yet even in the darkness, God was weaving deliverance through the life of a child. When Pharaoh commanded that every Hebrew boy be cast into the Nile, a woman of faith hid her son for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she placed him in a basket coated with tar and pitch, setting him among the reeds of the river. The waters that had drowned many now carried one chosen for life. Pharaoh's daughter came to bathe, and when she saw the basket, her heart was moved. She opened it, and the baby wept. She named him Moses, saying, "Because I drew him out of the water." Raised in the palace of Egypt, Moses learned the language of kings, but never forgot the cries of his people. One day, seeing an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, he struck the oppressor down and buried him in the sand. But word spread, and Pharaoh sought his life. Moses fled into the wilderness of Midian, a prince turned wanderer tending sheep in the quiet shadows of exile. Yet it was in that silence that God chose to speak. One day, as Moses led the flock near Mount Horeb, he saw a bush that burned with fire but was not consumed. Drawn by wonder, he turned aside, and a voice called from the flame, "Moses, Moses." He answered, "Here I am." And God said, "Do not come near. Remove your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I have seen the affliction of my people in Egypt, and I have come down to deliver them. I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people out." Moses trembled. "Who am I that I should go?" But God replied, "I will be with you." Still Moses feared, "What if they do not believe me?" And the Lord said, "What is that in your hand?" He cast his staff to the ground, and it became a serpent. He fled, but God said, "Take it by the tail," and when he did, it became a staff again. "By this they will know that I am the Lord." So Moses went, with his brother Aaron beside him, to stand before Pharaoh. And when Pharaoh hardened his heart, God stretched out his hand. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs swarmed the land. Darkness fell like a shroud over Egypt, yet still Pharaoh defied him. Then came the night of deliverance. Every home of Israel marked its doorposts with the blood of a lamb, and the angel of death passed over them. But in Egypt's houses a cry arose, for death had touched the firstborn of the proud. At last Pharaoh released them. The children of Israel went out with haste, led by the cloud of God by day and the fire of his presence by night. Yet soon Pharaoh pursued them with his army, and the people saw the sea before them and death behind. They cried out, but Moses lifted his staff, and the waters of the Red Sea split apart, standing like walls on either side. Israel walked through on dry ground. But when Pharaoh's chariots followed, the sea returned to its place, and not one enemy remained. On the other side, Miriam took her tambourine and sang, "The Lord has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea." In the wilderness, Moses led a nation through hunger, thirst, and fear. When they cried for bread, manna fell from heaven. When they thirsted, water flowed from the rock. When serpents came, God gave a bronze serpent lifted high that whoever looked upon it might live. And when they reached Mount Sinai, thunder rolled across the peaks. Lightning flashed, and the mountain burned with holy fire. There God spoke again, his voice like the sound of many waters, and gave to Moses the 10 Commandments. laws of righteousness carved by his own hand. But when Moses came down, the people had turned to a golden calf. In anger and grief, he broke the tablets and fell before the Lord in intercession, pleading for mercy. God heard and renewed his covenant. Then he gave Moses the design of the tabernacle, a dwelling for his glory among men. Skilled hands wove curtains of fine linen and gold. The ark of the covenant was overlaid with pure gold, and the cloud of God filled the tent. There between the cherubim his presence rested. Through the years of wandering, God performed wonders. Manna each morning, pillars of cloud and fire, victories over enemies and mercy after rebellion. Yet Moses, though he spoke with God face to face as a friend, would not enter the promised land. On Mount Nebo, the Lord showed him the land from afar, the hills, the rivers, the valleys of promise. And there Moses died, his eyes undimmed, his strength unabated. No man knew his burial place, but Israel wept for him 30 days, for never again arose a prophet like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who saw his glory and carried his words to a nation born of deliverance.
From the waters of the Nile to the fire of Sinai, his life was a journey of deliverance, a testimony that God raises the lowly to confound the mighty, that he dwells among his people, and that no wilderness, no sea, no Pharaoh can silence the voice that speaks from the flame. Maybe you have run from your calling. Maybe you've hidden in your own wilderness, wondering if your time has passed. But remember, God still seeks a man, a heart willing to stand, a vessel through whom his power can flow. For the earnest expectation of creation still waits for the manifestation of the sons of God.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring videos. Thank you for watching.